Alright, so I wanted to go over how to do damage on an Arcane Mage. So first things that we need to know are what are the damage and cooldowns for an Arcane Mage. So we have two. We have Arcane Surge. Expend all of your current mana to annihilate your enemy target and nearby enemies for up to 80,000 arcane damage based on mana spent. Deals damage reduced beyond 5 targets. Now this next part is the part that we care about, really. For the next 15 seconds, your mana regen is increased by 425% and your spell damage is increased by 35%. As you can see, Surge is a giant damage modifier basically. What you really care about is getting the Surge off, getting the cast complete so that you can get that 35% spell damage buff, which is 25% in PvP, I believe. And then our next damaging cooldown now is going to be Touch of the Magi. Applies Touch of the Magi to your current target, accumulating 20% of the damage you deal to the target for 12 seconds. Then exploding for that amount of arcane damage to the target, and then reduce damage to all nearby enemies. And it also generates you 4 arcane charges, and this is an instant cast spell. Now we kind of know what our two abilities are. We have Surge, which is a damage modifier, a casted damage modifier, which is going to leave us a buff. And then we have Magi, which is something that we actually apply to the enemy, and that is going to accumulate the damage we deal and then get a big bang at the end of it, and also generate you 4 arcane charges, which what I would argue is actually the main purpose of Touch of the Magi, is to instantly fill all your combo points. So I'm going to demonstrate these two abilities for you guys real quick just so you can see them. So this is Arcane Surge. So you can see it uses all your mana, which is why you get this clear casting here, because clear castings are based off of mana spent. So what clear castings are going to do is they're going to make your next missiles cost no mana, and it's also going to increase the channel speed of your arcane missiles. This is how you mainly damage. This is your biggest damage that you have. So something to note is that your missiles are not affected by how many combo points you have on arcane. The only thing that your combo points actually affect is your arcane blast and your arcane barrage. So now I'm going to Magi and show you guys what those abilities look like. So this is going to be Magi. Will explode for 0 damage on expiration, and the more we damage into that with our clear castings and our arcane blasts, you'll see at the end it explodes for about 100k. Those are kind of the damaging abilities we have on Arcane. Now, how can we use those in the most effective order? So in my eyes, there's 2 different ways that you can use these abilities, and it's not that one is better than the other necessarily. They're both decent. Which one you use is going to be dictated by interrupts available at the time, where the game is at, are you even able to get the Surge off? And that's what it really comes down to, is are you able to get the Surge off? Which leads us into the first rotation, which is going to be where you load into the game and you get your Arcane Surge off at the beginning and you want to start doing damage. So here's this rotation. Okay, so as we can see by the way this rotation starts, we cast the Arcane Surge. Now in PvP, this cast is very difficult to get off at times, against certain classes, whatever, different points in the game because of how many interrupts and micro interrupts are in the game. So like I said before this clip, this rotation is going to be for when you get the Surge off before your Magi. With Arcane Surge, I kind of have this rule of thumb where it's like you don't want to tunnel vision the Arcane Surge. Like, you don't always have to get this cast off first. We'll go into that rotation a bit later. But in these cases, when you do just get this Surge off, like at the start of the game, for example, this will be the best kind of rotation that you can do. This will be the best case scenario. So as you can see, when you Arcane Surge, you instantly get the buff and you instantly get a clear casting. Like I said earlier as well, the reason you get this clear casting is because you're spending your entire mana bar on the Arcane Surge, which clear castings are generated through mana spent. So when you spend your whole bar, you're gonna get a guaranteed one. If you don't, you're extremely unlucky, which has happened to me a couple times. And then you'll see the next global after Arcane Surge is Nether Tempest. The only time you'll use Nether Tempest here on your Magi, so keep in mind Magi is not on the global cooldown, so you can see both of those popped up at the same time. Those should be in the same key presses. So it's like boom, Magi, Nether Tempest, like same button. Don't macro together though. I know some of you guys are thinking that already, like, oh, I'll just macro that together. The reason why you don't want to do that is because you only want to use Nether Tempest when you are playing a certain talent, and that is Arcane Echo. So Arcane Echo is going to deal direct damage to enemies affected by your Magi. The reason why Nether Tempest is good whenever you have Arcane Echo is because the individual ticks of Echo of Tempest will proc Echo. So this is just a normal Echo. You can see that little explosion there. But when you put Tempest on them, you see how it explodes every time, and then you combine that with missiles, and then you see it just keeps exploding and keeps exploding, and then you'll see it adds like an extra almost 150k damage basically for free. So the Tempest will be there if you're playing Arcane Echo. If you're not playing Arcane Echo, it's not worth to use Nether Tempest. You could, but it's like it's kind of not worth it. So you'll immediately see here what I start doing is I start using my arcane missiles. Now this is where it's going to be a little bit RNG, because you'll see here I have 2 clear castings. Now you generate these either through time anomaly, which is the random proc you get from the capstone talent over here, or you just get them through RNG through spending your mana, like using Magi and Nether Tempest. So this is where the rotation will change a bit for some of you. If you do have more clear castings, what you want to do is you want to spend them. That's the highest priority. Yeah, you can see here, since I have 3, I just continue to spam my 3 procs. My 3 missiles procs. Because what this is going to do is this is going to activate your tier set. And it's important to get a tier set off your 4 set, which is the missile barrage. It's important to get one of those off with your surge. Ideally 2, but we'll go into that later. If you did not get clear castings after your, like let's say you surge here, and then you Magi Tempest, you use this 1 missile, and then you don't have any more clear castings, that's when you would want to Arcane Blast to try to generate more. But in this case, we have missiles. Like I said, this is best case example, or best case. So then you'll see here, I go for an Arcane Blast because I don't have a clear casting now. And for your 4 set, what the 4 set actually does is after you consume 3 clear castings, your next missile will deal 150% increased damage to your primary target, and it fires up to 4 nearby enemies as well. It's important that you have a clear casting for that proc as well. So here I'm fishing for one, so I do 2 Arcane Blasts. There is the you see I actually didn't get one off the 2 Arcane Blasts. I got a lucky one through time anomaly here. So I had already started casting an Arcane Blast trying to fish for more. You can see the time anomaly animation. So yeah, sometimes you get unlucky, like with those 2 Palm double Arcane Blast. What Palm does, it makes your next 2 Arcane Blast instant. But yeah, you'll see what I'm doing here, because like in my head, I didn't have this clear casting yet. So I'm trying to fish for more with Arcane Blast. Or if you have a melee on you, you can use Spell Steal if you can't cast. That's another great way to generate clear castings. And then you'll see here, I do send that missiles, and that's going to be huge. You can see the missiles are taking for like 80k, 60k. That's the power of your 4 set. I want to make that clear. And if I would have done this missile barrage on this pack over here, it would have done crazy damage to everybody. That's something you really want to try to do, is make sure that whenever you are sending in this missile barrage, that it is hitting as many targets as possible. And then you'll see here after this, we have a couple modifiers. So this one is Arcane Harmony, and that is going to increase the damage of your next barrage for each missile tick. And keep in mind, we've already missiled like 4 times, so now we want to send that in before our surge is over, because keep in mind, surges are spell damage modifier. And you'll see here I throw in the barrage, and boom, hits for like 330k. That's a crit. So anyways, that is the first rotation on how to Arcane Surge from the start of the game. So I've decided before we go into the other rotation, I'm going to show you guys the rotation one more time to mix it up. So maybe get like a different set of luck on the cast. Like maybe I don't get the God Clear castings, the God Clear casting procs. So yeah, you can see here I don't have another missiles. So here's where you need to blast so that you can get more. Luckily, we are getting them. Now, since we're at our missile barrage, we need to fish for another one. There it is. Send that one in. And then we did get the barrage right before the surge fell. So that was another perfect rotation. You just have to kind of adjust when you're blasting and missiling based off of the luck of the clear castings, if you guys see what I mean now. Okay, so now we'll be getting into the second rotation I was talking about. This is going to be in an example. Let's say you're in an arena match. You cast that first Arcane Surge and you're fighting a Destro Lock and he counterspells you. And then he ports it. And then the DK kicks you. And then Pet kicks you. And then asphyxiates you. And then strangs you. It's like in those scenarios, you don't want to just keep being stubborn about your surge. Because you'll be sitting there all day. Okay, let me cast this, get counterspelled. Okay, let me wait out the 6-second counterspell. Alright, now let me try and get my damage rotation off. Oh, kicked again. Alright, now let me try. Asphyxiated. Alright, now let me try. Strangulated. And it's an endless loop. Sometimes it's better in these cases, I've found, to not just tunnel vision your surge like this. And when you can get it off at the start and you get your nice perfect rotation rolling, that's great. But it's not always going to be the case in PvP. So in those cases, sometimes you'll just have to send the Magi Tempest right away. So you can sit here and let's say you do surge and you get kicked, right? One thing that I like to do in this scenario right before I kind of give up trying to surge and go right into my Magi is I'll place a Ring of Fire down, because the Ring of Fire is gonna count as damage accumulated into the Magi. Sorry. So yeah, surge. I keep getting kicked and whatever. All right, whatever. I'll just try to get a Ring of Fire. Okay, now I'm Magi. So now I cast my missiles. I fish for my blast, and it's the same rotation except without Arcane Surge. But the cool part about it is that you can just do it late. So like right here before your missile barrage proc, let me just cast a surge now, because it's probably like to the point where you've done enough damage and that you can get away. And then this is a late surge, and then it doesn't really matter because you're still getting a 4-set and an execute barrage with your Arcane Surge. And that's kind of what makes a good Arcane Surge. So even though you're not lining up your surge with your Magi window, it's kind of not a big deal, because what makes a good Arcane Surge is, did you get a 4-set off in the window, and were you able to get an execute barrage off in the window? That's kind of like the most valuable surge you can have. There is a way to get 2 missile barrage procs off in one Arcane Surge window, but this is a rotation that is going to be extremely rare. We don't even really have to talk about it too much. But yeah, that last rotation is going to be, let's say, maybe a more realistic one if you can't get the surge off. I'm actually down to go watch that rotation back real quick, and then we can see what was going on. Okay, so we'll be breaking down the late surge go now, where you don't want to tunnel vision it. So yeah, the Ring of Fire goes off, we Magi. So when we Magi here, we do get a clear casting right away from Time Anomaly. So basically, sometimes you'll Magi and you'll Tempest here and you won't get a clear casting. At that case, since you have 4 Arcane charges, your Arcane Blast will become a faster cast. So that'll be the way that you want to start trying to generate those. Since I do get one here, I decide to use it first. Then the same concepts now. It's the same rotation. Blast or Spell Steal if you can't cast till you get a clear casting. So I get one there, send that in. And now at this time, you always want to be looking to get the surge off late. So if this damage that you've done now has gotten them low and they start running away, here's when you'll want to start looking to get your surge off late. If not, you can go into your 2 Palm Double Arcane Blast to try to generate more clear castings, so you can get more clear castings in your Magi window. And that's what I do here. And then here you can see I late surge because I have a Missile Barrage proc now. And keep in mind, when you Arcane Surge, you use pretty much all your mana. So you can pretty much guarantee you'll get a clear casting from this. And I need a clear casting right now because I need it to send in my Missile Barrage. You'll see I prio this over sending a barrage into my Magi. You'll see here. So there's the Palm Double Arcane Blast. Get the clear casting, send that in. And now You could, there's two options here. You could barrage right here so that the damage is included in the Magi. And since you already have a 10 stack Harmony, it's likely going to be good that you could do that. However, if you can get your Surge off here, it's really good as well. So I opt for the Surge. And keep in mind, you're not surging for the damage, like I said. You're surging for the buff. So if this Surge, you need to do it on a pet or a totem or something to get it off, that's completely fine. Don't feel bad about doing that. And then you'll see I actually got really unlucky. I didn't get a clear casting from my Surge, so I go right back into blasting. Luckily I get one there, and then now with my Surge up, we can send in the Missile Barrage proc, and that's going to do huge damage. And then with the remaining part of my Surge, I want to make sure I just get that Barrage in there. So I send that in. Doesn't crit, but still hits like almost 300k or something. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions about Arcane. Arcane is a lot more complex than the other two specs, so this video might have come out a little bit longer in that regard. But yeah, if you guys do have questions about any of it, make sure to just drop them in the comments below and let me know what you guys think. Peace out.